Hello. Have you ever imagined what would happen if one fine day you woke up, but not in your soft bed, but in a faraway place? Behind you are dry grains of sand. In front of you is a dark yellow color. So what will happen? Welcome, dear friend, to a place in the solar system where beauty and mystery blend together as websable. The kingdom of Saturn. Seen from afar, this planet shines like a pearl floating in the black ocean of space. Its large rings sparkle with light, fragile as glass, but wide enough to stretch for hundreds of thousands of kilometers. When ancient skywatchers first looked up, Saturn was just a pale yellow star, moving slowly on the night carpet. But with each passing century, and each new lens crafted by curious hands, Saturn reveals itself as the crown jewel of our planetary family, magnificent yet elusive. Imagine drifting closer, as if carried by a gentle breeze through the cosmos. Pale sunlight skims Saturn's atmosphere, drawing swirls of gold and amber across its endless clouds. It's a world of storms, of strange shapes and colors, of secrets hidden deep in the gas. Yet it proudly wears its ring crown, like a dancer draped in soft silk. Tonight, we won't just be looking at Saturn. We'll wander inside it, gliding through the rings, peering into the atmosphere, and imagining what it must feel like to drift down to its mysterious core. Science will guide us, but the journey will be like a dream, slow, gentle, breath by breath. So take a deep breath. Let the peaceful beauty of Saturn wrap you like a blanket. Let the story of this strange and wonderful planet gently lull you to sleep, where even in your dreams, the stars continue to shine. As we drift a little closer, we begin to notice something strange about Saturn, something that makes scientists pause, scratch their heads, and wonder. Saturn shines with more than just borrowed sunlight. It radiates into space almost twice as much energy as it receives from the Sunday. This quiet puzzle lingers like a question whispered into the night. Where does all that extra heat come from? Some believe it may be hidden deep within the planet, in a restless core pressing against layers of gas. Others suspect it comes from helium, slowly sinking through Saturn's atmosphere like gentle rain, releasing heat as it falls. The truth remains uncertain, and in that uncertainty lies wonder. Imagine Saturn as a lantern glowing softly in the dark. Its light not only a reflection of the sun, but a warmth of its own. It is as if the planet carries a secret hearth, burning unseen, keeping its heart alive. The mystery humbles us. For all we know about Saturn, the shapes of its rings, the speed of its winds, the dance of its moons, there are still questions that no telescope can yet answer. And in this not knowing, there is beauty. So as you listen, let this thought settle within you. Even the largest, brightest things in the universe hold secrets, just as each of us does. Some mysteries are not meant to be solved at once, but to be lived with like lullabies sung in the dark, promising that wonder will always remain. Now, let us rise above Saturn's endless clouds and drift toward its North Pole, where something remarkable stirs. At first glance, it may look like a storm, the kind we know on Earth, swirling, powerful, beautiful in its fury. But as we draw nearer, we see its shape. Not a circle, not a spiral, a hexagon, yes. A storm in the form of a perfect six-sided figure, spinning endlessly at the top of Saturn. Its sides are as straight as if drawn with a ruler. Its corners are sharp, yet made of vapor and wind. The entire shape stretches wider than the continent of North America. A vast, geometric hurricane that should not exist yet does. Scientists still puzzle over how this storm maintains its shape. Some think it is born of Saturn's fast-moving jet streams, locked together in a cosmic dance that bends the winds into symmetry. Others simply marvel, for how often does nature sculpt with such precision? Imagine standing on the edge of that storm, gazing down at a hexagonal sea of clouds. The winds roar at hundreds of kilometers per hour, yet from above, it looks like a quiet pattern carved into the sky. It is as though the universe itself whispered a secret into Saturn's pole, And the planet answered in the language of geometry. And as we linger here, it feels almost dreamlike. The hexagon turns, slowly, endlessly, like a cosmic clock, measuring time not in seconds, but in mysteries. For decades, spacecraft and telescopes have watched the great hexagon at Saturn's pole, and something extraordinary has been seen. Once, its clouds shimmered in shades of soft blue, calm and icy, like a frozen sea under starlight. But then, almost without warning, it changed. The hexagon glowed with golden hues, as if the dawn had spilled across it. Why did this storm change its colors? No one knows for certain. Perhaps it is sunlight, shifting with Saturn's long seasons, each lasting over 7 Earth years. Perhaps it is chemistry in the clouds, altered by invisible processes. Or perhaps it is something we have yet to imagine. The change reminds us of how fragile and fleeting appearances can be. On Earth, we marvel at sunsets that transform the sky from blue to crimson to purple, knowing that no 2 evenings are ever the same. Saturn, it seems, has its own sunsets, painted across a storm shaped like a hexagon. In this way, Saturn feels almost alive, a planet with moods and seasons of its own. To gaze at it is to be reminded that the cosmos is not static. It breathes. So, as you picture Saturn's golden storm slowly turning in the dark, let it soothe you. The universe is vast, mysterious, and full of color, sometimes icy blue, sometimes glowing gold, always changing, yet always beautiful. Every so often, Saturn reminds us that it is not only graceful but also violent. Once in about 30 Earth years, just a single Saturnian year, a storm erupts so vast that it stretches across the entire planet. Scientists call it the Great White Spot. Imagine looking at Saturn and suddenly seeing a pale scar, bright and luminous, curling around its golden body. It grows quickly, wrapping itself like a band of lightning around the globe, fierce and unstoppable. For months, the storm rages, tossing Saturn's atmosphere into chaos. Then, just as suddenly, it fades, leaving only silence, as if nothing had ever happened. The last of these great storms appeared in 2010, a reminder of Saturn's hidden rhythms. The next is expected decades from now, around the year 2040. For us, it feels like a long wait, but for Saturn, it is simply the turning of a page in its slow cosmic calendar. There is something comforting in these cycles. Just as Earth has its seasons, spring blooming with new life, winter folding the world into rest, so too does Saturn breathe in its own immense way. Its storms come and go, its tempests rise and fall, all according to a rhythm far larger than our own. As we drift in thought, listening to the whisper of these planetary seasons, we might reflect on the storms of our own lives. They too may seem overwhelming, but like Saturn's great white spot, they pass. The skies clear, the world steadies, and in the quiet afterward, beauty remains. If Saturn is known for one thing above all else, it is for the rings, those luminous bands of ice and dust that circle it like a halo. No other planet wears such an ornament. From afar, they shimmer faintly, like silver threads spun across the black velvet of space. They stretch wider than the distance between Earth and the Moon, yet they are impossibly thin, barely a kilometer deep. So delicate, they seem like something imagined in a dream, too fragile to exist. And yet they endure, age after age, turning endlessly with the planet. Astronomers once thought the rings were solid, like a smooth disk of stone. But we now know they are made of countless particles, flakes of ice, shards of rock, the fragments of moons that shattered long ago. Each fragment, tiny on its own, gathers together to create the illusion of something whole. To gaze upon them is to feel a quiet awe. They are not only beautiful, they are a reminder that grandeur can come from small things joined in harmony. Millions of pieces, circling Saturn in perfect order, become one of the most breathtaking sights in the solar system. As we let this vision settle in our minds, we might close our eyes and imagine drifting through them, surrounded by icy sparkles, hearing only the silence of space. Saturn's rings become not just an astronomical marvel, but a lullaby written across the heavens. Soft, endless, and serene, as delicate as Saturn's rings appear, their story is one of both creation and loss. Scientists believe they are made from fragments of ancient worlds, perhaps shattered moons, torn apart by Saturn's gravity, or remnants of comets and asteroids that wandered too close. Each piece, whether a grain of ice no bigger than a snowflake or a boulder the size of a mountain, carries the memory of something older. Together, they weave a veil of light that wraps around the planet, both fragile and eternal. There is poetry in their nature. From destruction came beauty. From ruin came grace. Saturn's rings remind us that even in the vastness of the cosmos, endings can give birth to wonders. They shine not because they are whole, but because they are many millions of fragments reflecting the sun, whispering their story as they orbit. Some scientists believe the rings may not last forever. Slowly, they are falling inward, tiny particles drifting down into Saturn's atmosphere like soft rain. One day, perhaps millions of years from now, Saturn's magnificent crown may fade. Yet for now, in our brief moment of existence, we are lucky enough to see them in their full glory. Close your eyes and picture it. A planet encircled by shimmering bands, spinning quietly in the dark. A cosmic jewel, born from loss, yet endlessly beautiful. At first glance, Saturn's rings look like one continuous band, smooth and perfect, circling endlessly. But as we draw closer, we discover a hidden truth. The rings are divided, layered, and numbered in ways that confuse the eye and challenge the mind. They are named not by their order, but by the history of discovery. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It is not the tidy sequence we might expect, but something more playful, more chaotic. To wander through the rings is to move not in straight lines, but in patterns of mystery. Each ring has its own character. Some are wide and brilliant, gleaming with ice. Others are faint, almost invisible, delicate as spider silk stretched across the void. Together, they form a family of arcs, each one unique, each one contributing to Saturn's quiet radiance. And yet, though they appear orderly from afar, up close they are anything but still. Countless particles rush and tumble, drawn by Saturn's gravity, nudged by its moons, weaving and unweaving their patterns every moment. Chaos within beauty, movement within stillness. It is like listening to music, where each note is a fragment, yet together they form a song. The rings are Saturn's music, sometimes soft, sometimes turbulent, always changing, yet forever circling in harmony. Among Saturn's many rings, the E-ring holds a secret unlike any other. It is faint, far from the planet, and yet it glows with a gentle brightness. This is because it is constantly renewed, fed by a tiny moon named Enceladus. Enceladus is no larger than a small country, 7 times smaller than our own moon. And yet, beneath its icy crust, lies a hidden ocean, a sea kept warm by forces deep within. From cracks in its frozen surface, great geysers erupt, shooting water vapor and ice into space. These glittering plumes drift outward, and many of them are caught by Saturn's gravity, becoming part of the E-ring. Imagine it. A tiny moon, no bigger than a speck beside its giant parent, flinging ice crystals into the dark. Each particle, once part of a hidden ocean, now circles Saturn as part of a radiant halo. Enceladus, small and fragile, writes its presence across the sky. There is a kind of tenderness in this exchange. The moon gives of itself, endlessly, and Saturn carries those gifts, weaving them into light. It is a cosmic reminder that even the smallest among us can shape something vast, leaving beauty far beyond their size. Close your eyes and picture drifting through the E-ring ice crystals glittering like snow in sunlight. each one a fragment of an ocean from a world you cannot see. A frozen whisper, carried on Saturn's breath. When we think of influence, we often imagine sized giant planets, massive stars, sprawling galaxies. Yet Enceladus, Saturn's little moon, teaches us another truth. Power is not measured only in scale. Barely 500 kilometers across, Enceladus could almost fit inside the state of Arizona. And yet, this icy moon shapes the entire E-ring of Saturn, feeding it with endless streams of crystals from its hidden ocean. It is as if a single voice could fill an entire cathedral with song. Scientists are captivated by Enceladus, not only because of its contribution to the rings, but because of what lies beneath its surface. That vast ocean of salty water, kept warm beneath the crust, may hold the conditions for life. Each plume of ice that escapes into the darkness could carry whispers of chemistry we long to understand. Perhaps even the faintest trace of living things. To imagine such possibility is to feel humbled. A tiny moon, overlooked by ancient astronomers, now stands as one of the most hopeful places in the solar system. It reminds us that smallness does not mean insignificance. Just as Enceladus shapes Saturn's rings, so too can the smallest gestures in our own lives ripple outward, touching far more than we know. So as we drift past the E-ring, let us pause and honor this little world, quiet, icy, and luminous. A moon that proves greatness can live inside the smallest of shells. Just beyond the glow of the E-ring lies one of Saturn's most unpredictable wonders, the F-ring. At first glance, it seems narrow and delicate, a faint thread of ice circling close to the planet. But as we look closer, its beauty reveals a wild, untamed spirit. The F-ring is alive with patterns, twists, knots, and braids of shimmering ice. It looks less like a smooth band and more like a strand of hair, tousled by invisible fingers. This restless dance is guided by two small moons, Prometheus and Pandora. These moons are called shepherds because they tug and pull at the ring with their gravity, keeping it from drifting apart. Prometheus dives into the ring, stealing particles and dragging trails behind it. Pandora follows close, tugging in the opposite direction, creating chaos in their wake. The result is a ring that is always shifting, always surprising, never quite the same from one moment to the next. To drift here is to feel the push and pull of invisible forces, the same forces that shape galaxies, rivers, even the tides of our own Earth. Prometheus and Pandora remind us that balance is not always smooth. Sometimes it is a tension, a dance, a constant exchange between order and disorder. And yet, out of this cosmic tug-of-war comes beauty. The F-ring, fragile and wild, is perhaps Saturn's most human-like feature, imperfect, unpredictable, but endlessly captivating. As we glide inward, Saturn greets us with its most dazzling adornments, the A and B rings. These are the brightest, the most radiant, the ones that shine even through a small backyard telescope. If the outer rings are whispers, A and B rings are a chorus, bold and clear, stretching like jeweled rivers around the planet. The B ring is the broadest and most massive, a luminous sea of ice particles gleaming in sunlight. Its brightness makes it almost solid to the human eye, as if Saturn had carved a white marble path through the heavens. The A ring, just beyond, is equally breathtaking, edged with sharp boundaries shaped by the gravity of nearby moons. Between them lies a great shadow, a dark lane carved across the glow. This is the Cassini division, the largest gap between any of Saturn's rings. To look at it is to see contrast itself, light and shadow, presence and absence, beauty created not only by what exists, but also by what is missing. These bright rings remind us of clarity in the midst of mystery. They show us how, even in the vastness of space, there are places that shine simply, purely, without need for explanation. And like lanterns strung across the night sky, they guide our gaze inward, toward the heart of Saturn's quiet wonder. Between the bright A and B rings lies a gulf of darkness, a silent space more than 4,800 kilometers wide. This is the Cassini division, named after the astronomer Giovanni Cassini, who first glimpsed it through his telescope in the 17th century. From far away, it looks like a sharp cut, as though someone had drawn a line through Saturn's glowing bands. But up close, this division is not empty at all. It is filled with thinner rings and countless particles, gently tugged away from their neighbors by the pull of a nearby moon, Mimas. Imagine Saturn's rings as a grand orchestra. Each moon is an instrument, each particle a note, and here, Mimas plucks a string, leaving behind a pause in the music, a space of silence that makes the surrounding sound even more beautiful. The Cassini division is not an absence, but a harmony of balance where gravity, distance, and time weave together a shadowed space. To drift above it is to feel the delicate precision of the cosmos. Even the faintest moon can leave its mark, shaping the grandeur of Saturn's rings with an invisible hand, and in that quiet lane of darkness, we are reminded that emptiness, too, can be part of beauty. Meet Mimas, the moon that carved its influence into Saturn's shining rings. At first, it may seem unremarkable, just a small, icy body, about 200 kilometers in radius, far smaller than our own moon. And yet, this little world carries a story that echoes across Saturn's grandeur. Mimas is scarred with craters, the most striking of which is so large it makes the moon look like the Death Star from the movies. While that resemblance is coincidence, Star Wars was imagined before detailed images of Mimas existed. It has earned the moon a place in popular imagination. But Mimas is far more than a curiosity. With its steady pull, it shapes Saturn's a ring, tugging particles and creating resonances that clear away the Cassini division. Though modest in size, its gravity sculpts something thousands of kilometers wide, leaving a signature far greater than itself. There is a gentle lesson in Mimas. Even the smallest voices in the cosmos can change the song of the universe. One little moon, tugging quietly at Saturn's rings, has etched its presence into something vast and luminous. As we drift past this cratered companion, we are reminded, greatness is not always measured in size, but in the lasting mark one leaves behind. The Cassini division, that great shadowed gap between Saturn's rings, may not always exist. Its guardian, the small moon Mimas, is slowly drifting away from Saturn. As it recedes, its gravitational pull will weaken, and the balance it maintains within the rings will fade. One day, perhaps 40 million years from now, the Cassini division may close. The particles will drift back into place, filling the dark lane until it is gone. The rings will appear smoother, more seamless, and this feature that has defined Saturn for centuries in human eyes will vanish into memory. 40 million years is a span of time almost beyond comprehension. To Saturn, it is only the turn of a page. But to us, it is an eternity. By the time the Cassini division closes, Earth itself may be unrecognizable. Civilizations will have risen and fallen. Continents will have shifted. Perhaps even new species will walk where we once stood. And yet, the thought brings not sorrow but wonder. We live in a rare moment, able to see Saturn in this exact shape, with its glowing rings divided by shadows. Our time is brief, but within it, we witness a version of the cosmos that will never be repeated quite the same again. So when you look at Saturn, know that you are gazing at something fleeting, an arrangement of moons and rings, in a dance of gravity that, like all things, will one day change. Beauty, after all, is often most powerful when it will not last forever. As we linger among Saturn's rings, it becomes clear that nothing here exists alone. Every moon, every grain of ice, every swirl of gas, is part of a vast and delicate web of connection. The moons tug at the rings reflect the sunlight. The planet itself breathes energy into the space around it. It is a symphony written in gravity. Large moons like Titan shape entire regions of Saturn's system. Small ones, like Mimas or Enceladus, pull on individual rings, creating gaps, waves, and braids. Even the tiniest particles respond, drifting into patterns that shimmer like threads woven into a cosmic tapestry. In this way, Saturn reminds us of our own lives. We, too, are woven together in unseen ways. One person's action ripples outward, affecting another, and then another, until a quiet gesture can change the shape of an entire story. The universe seems to whisper, "You are never truly separate. You are part of a web, vast and unseen, but always there." Floating here, among Saturn's rings, it feels almost like standing inside a dream catcher made of light and ice. Every strand is connected, every piece supports another, and together they create something more beautiful than any one fragment could ever be. Deeper inward, just before Saturn's atmosphere begins, lies the C ring. It is dimmer than the bright A and B rings, almost ghostly in appearance, like a faint veil stretched across the planet. But this quiet ring hides a restless secret. Saturn's largest moon, Titan, exerts its gravity here. Unlike the gentle pull of smaller moons, Titan stirs the sea ring with waves so vast, they are called gravitational tsunamis. Imagine a wall of icy particles rising 2 kilometers high, circling around Saturn like a frozen tide. They move slowly, so slowly that to the human eye they appear frozen in place, yet their presence is powerful. A reminder of Titan's immense influence. Titan is no ordinary moon. Larger than the planet Mercury, it is a world with its own thick atmosphere and seas of liquid methane. Its gravitational hand reaches out, sculpting Saturn's rings, leaving ripples in places that would otherwise seem still. To drift here, beside the sea ring, is to witness the dialogue between planet and moon, between strength and subtlety. Saturn gives Titan its orbit. Titan answers by shaping Saturn's rings. Neither exists alone. And so, as we glide past these frozen waves, we are reminded once more of the delicate balance of the cosmos. Even the mightiest rings must bend to the touch of a companion, just as even the strongest lives are shaped by those who circle close to them. Now, our journey takes a daring turn. We leave the shimmering rings behind and begin to drift downward, toward Saturn itself. From above, the planet looks soft and inviting, wrapped in layers of golden clouds. But as we sink closer, we realize we are approaching a realm unlike anything we know on Earth. Imagine stepping off the edge of a cloud and floating into an ocean made not of water, but of gas. There is no solid surface to stand on, no ground to land upon. Saturn is a world without a floor. To descend into it is to surrender to layers upon layers of atmosphere, each stranger and more hostile than the last. Our vessel drifts gently, like a fragile balloon carried on the winds. The upper clouds swirl in slow patterns, painted with muted yellows and soft grays. The light here is dim, filtered through hazy layers of gas, as though we are sinking into a dream at twilight. Beneath us lies the unknown, temperatures dropping, pressures rising, compounds changing into forms that defy imagination. It is a one-way journey, for no probe, no ship, no human could enter Saturn's depths and return. And yet, there is wonder in simply imagining it. So we take a deep breath, steady ourselves, and let go. We are no longer orbiting Saturn from afar. We are falling, gently but unavoidably, into the heart of a giant. Before we drift deeper, let us pause to remember the last visitor who dared this descent. Its name was Cassini, a spacecraft launched from Earth, which spent more than a decade circling Saturn, unveiling its moons, its storms, and the secrets of its rings. For 13 years, Cassini sent us treasures, images of Enceladus's icy plumes, of Titan's orange skies, of storms raging across Saturn's endless atmosphere. It mapped the rings, studied the moons, and became our eyes in a place we could never reach ourselves. But every journey has an ending. In 2017, scientists guided Cassini on a final dive into Saturn. They chose this fate to protect the moon's worlds like Enceladus and Titan, where oceans might harbor life from the risk of contamination. And so, Cassini was sent into the planet it had loved so faithfully. As it descended, the spacecraft continued to send back data until the very last moments, its signal fading as it was torn apart by Saturn's immense pressure and heat. It was not destruction, but a return. Like a traveler laying down to rest, Cassini became part of the world it had studied, its atoms scattered into Saturn's atmosphere, perhaps now drifting as invisible dust among the clouds. There is poetry in that ending. A machine built on Earth, carried across the void, gave us visions of beauty beyond measure, and then returned, quietly, to the planet that had been its home for so long. A farewell both solemn and serene. As we prepare to sink into Saturn's atmosphere, there is a fact so strange it feels almost like a dream. Saturn, the second largest planet in our solar system, is less dense than water. If there were a lake vast enough, an ocean the size of the cosmos, Saturn would float. It seems impossible. How could something so massive, so heavy in appearance, be buoyant? The answer lies in its composition. Saturn is made mostly of hydrogen and helium, the lightest elements in the universe. Despite its enormous size, its bulk is airy, spread thin, like a great balloon drifting in space. Picture this for a moment. A giant golden sphere, resting on an endless ocean, bobbing gently like a lantern on the waves. The rings shimmer above it like ripples of light. The image is fantastical, almost childlike, and yet it is grounded in truth. Saturn really could float if only there were a cosmic sea wide enough to hold it. And perhaps, in a way, there is. The universe itself is an ocean, and Saturn is one of its most radiant vessels, drifting calmly along invisible currents of gravity. To think of Saturn this way is to see not just a planet, but a symbol of balance, something so vast, yet so light, carried effortlessly through the dark. As we descend, let this image linger. A golden world afloat on the tides of the cosmos, serene, eternal, and gently cradled by the universe itself. Now, the descent truly begins. We pass from the silence of space into the first layers of Saturn's atmosphere, crossing an invisible threshold where starlight dims and clouds rise to meet us. There is no surface below, only an endless ocean of gas, swirling in patterns older than humankind itself. The upper atmosphere is frigid, around -175 degrees Celsius, colder than any place on Earth. The air here is not air as we know it, but hydrogen and helium, thin and sharp, whispering past like icy breath. To drift downward is to step into a dream of frost and silence. But Saturn is restless. The planet spins with incredible speed, turning once every 10.5 hours. This rapid rotation, despite Saturn's enormous size, pushes its atmosphere into motion. The winds here are among the fastest in the solar system, racing at over 1,800 kilometers per hour, 4 times stronger than the fiercest hurricanes on Earth. These winds carve bands of color into the planet's surface, stretching like ribbons around its middle. At the equator, Saturn bulges outward, its shape distorted by the force of its spin. From above, it appears as though the planet itself is breathing, its body rising and falling with every turn. As we sink through these first clouds, the sensation is one of both awe and unease. We are drifting into a place of extremes where speed, cold, and invisible forces reign. And yet, it is strangely calm, as if Saturn cradles us in its endless motion, carrying us deeper into its golden heart. As we continue to sink through Saturn's atmosphere, we feel the power of motion all around us. The winds here are not gentle breezes but roaring rivers of gas, racing faster than any storm on Earth. They stream endlessly around the planet, woven into bands of pale yellow and gold, each moving at its own rhythm. These winds are born of Saturn's rapid spin. Despite being more than 9 times wider than Earth, Saturn completes a full rotation in just over 10 hours. Imagine an entire world, immense beyond measure, turning so quickly that its equator bulges outward. The force of this spin drives the jet streams into incredible speed, sculpting the atmosphere into flowing ribbons. At the equator, the winds can reach over 1,800 kilometers per hour. That is faster than a jet plane, faster than the eye could ever follow. Yet, from afar, it looks serene, smooth bands circling the planet, like brushstrokes across a canvas. Only up close do we realize the chaos beneath the calm. It is a strange contrast. Power beyond imagining, hidden beneath an illusion of stillness. Saturn teaches us that appearances deceive. And yet, even this ferocity is part of the planet's beauty. For without the speed of its winds, Saturn would not wear the face we know, its golden bands, its swirling storms, its timeless grace. Here, among these winds, we are reminded of our own lives. Beneath calm surfaces, forces may be rushing, and yet together, they form the patterns that make us who we are. Just as Saturn's storms form its breathtaking visage, as we drift deeper, the light around us softens into a yellow haze. We have entered Saturn's uppermost cloud deck, a realm made almost entirely of ammonia and ammonia ice. These clouds are what give the planet its golden color, glowing faintly in sunlight like fields of wheat at dusk. From a distance, they look smooth, painted in calm stripes, but up close, they are alive with turbulence. Towering cloud tops rise and fall, their shapes constantly shifting, as if the sky itself is breathing. If we could listen closely, perhaps it would sound like the slow rhythm of a tide, swelling and receding, carrying us downward. The air here would sting the senses. Ammonia has a sharp, pungent scent, acrid and biting. To humans, it would be unbearable. And yet, in Saturn's vastness, it is simply part of the natural order, a reminder that beauty often comes with harshness. The temperature has plummeted to extremes, close to -250 degrees Celsius. Here, sunlight is faint and cold, scattered through icy crystals that drift and fall like frozen ash. Pressure is still light, less than half of what we feel at Earth's surface, but with every moment of descent, it grows stronger, pressing gently at first, then more insistently. Floating among these yellow clouds, we might feel caught between two worlds. Above us, the brilliance of Saturn's rings, glittering in starlight. Below us, endless layers of storms, waiting to be discovered. And around us, the hush of ammonia clouds, Saturn's golden veil, delicate yet immense, draped across a planet of secrets. Deeper still, we leave the yellow veil of ammonia ice behind and sink into a darker, heavier layer. Here, the clouds are made of ammonium hydrosulfide, a compound unfamiliar to daily life, yet common in the chemistry of giant planets. The air grows warmer as pressure increases. At this depth, the atmosphere presses nearly twice as hard as Earth's surface air. It is like carrying the weight of an invisible ocean, every molecule pressing inward from all sides. The clouds themselves are tinted in shades of brown and red, hues born from complex reactions between sulfur and ammonia. They swirl in shadowy bands, giving Saturn its deeper tones. To human senses, this place would be overwhelming, the air thick, the smell sharp and acrid, like a mix of fireworks and decay. And yet, in the silence of descent, there is beauty in this strangeness. Think of these layers as Saturn's hidden canvases, each painted with new colors as we go deeper. Above us, the pale gold of ammonia. Here, the richer browns of sulfur compounds. Farther still, the promise of ice and water. It is as though Saturn is built like a dream in layers, each unfolding gradually, one after the other, in the dim light, with only the glow of scattered particles around us. It feels like sinking into a twilight ocean, an ocean where no sunbeam can reach, yet where quiet wonders abound. We sink deeper still, leaving the sulphurous haze behind. At last, we reach a realm that feels strangely familiar, though we are far from home. Here, the clouds are made mostly of water ice. Yes, water. The same substance that fills our oceans, feeds our rivers, and falls gently as snow on Earth. But here, water is not calm or gentle. The pressure at this depth is about 10 times greater than Earth's atmosphere. It is like standing far beneath the ocean's surface, where the weight of water presses against every part of you. The clouds form thick, dense layers, towering structures of ice crystals mixed with droplets, swirling in a vast storm that never ends. The temperature has risen too. It is no longer bitterly cold. Here, it hovers near freezing, around 0 degrees Celsius, as though Saturn briefly imitates the climate of Earth's winter. For a moment, we could almost imagine walking among these clouds, surrounded by snow and ice. Though in truth, no human could survive such crushing pressure. This is Saturn's great water deck, a cloud layer stretching across thousands of kilometers. It is a hidden ocean above an ocean, locked away inside a gas giant. And though no raindrops fall to the ground because there is no ground, the ice here cycles endlessly, rising, falling, shifting, and returning. In this strange place, Saturn feels closer to us. It carries water, as we do. It breathes storms of ice, as Earth breathes storms of rain. The resemblance is fleeting but profound. A reminder that even among alien giants, we find echoes of home. Beyond the icy water clouds, the familiar gives way to the alien once more. As we descend, the pressure grows immense. So immense that hydrogen, the lightest of all gases, is forced into a new form. It ceases to drift as vapor and instead becomes a liquid, flowing in endless seas that circle the planet beneath its cloudy skin. At first, it seems impossible to imagine. Hydrogen is what we know as the airless whisper of space, the simplest element in existence. Yet here, the sheer weight of Saturn's atmosphere presses it into waves and tides, turning gas into liquid without need of cold, only pressure. To picture it, imagine plunging into an invisible ocean, one without color or texture, an ocean that stretches tens of thousands of kilometers deep. It has no shore, no surface, only the slow, unbroken pull downward. In this vast sea, no light can penetrate, and no human could endure. And yet, in its silence, lies one of the great wonders of planetary science. Here, Saturn transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. The same hydrogen that fills stars, that fuels the sun itself, becomes something altogether different. It is as though Saturn is an alchemist, reshaping the building blocks of the universe into forms beyond our everyday world. Floating downward into this invisible sea, we are reminded of the strange power of pressure, of how even the gentlest elements can change under weight and time. Saturn's liquid heart is not made of stone or soil, but of hydrogen, soft, yet strong enough to shape a world. As we drift into Saturn's ocean of liquid hydrogen, the weight of the atmosphere grows unbearable. The deeper we sink, the more the pressure builds hundreds, then thousands of times stronger than what we feel at the surface of Earth. It is a pressure no human body, no machine we know, could withstand for long. To give perspective, the pressure here is like standing beneath thousands of kilometers of water. Imagine diving into Earth's deepest ocean trench, then multiplying that burden until even atoms themselves begin to change. At this depth, the rules of matter shift. Hydrogen that once drifted like a feather in the air is crushed into something dense and heavy, flowing like a strange liquid metal. And yet, this place is not violent in appearance. It is silent, steady, vast. No waves crash here, no lightning flares, only the quiet weight of endless hydrogen pressing in from all sides. It is a world where stillness and force exist together, where the gentlest of elements becomes unyielding under Saturn's embrace. There is something humbling in this thought. Pressure shapes not only planets but lives. Just as Saturn transforms hydrogen into new forms, our own trials and burdens shape us in ways we cannot always see. Out of struggle comes strength. Out of weight comes resilience. To sink here is to feel the vast patience of the cosmos. Nothing rushes, nothing resists. Even the smallest particles yield to the embrace of pressure, becoming something new, something enduring. Deeper and deeper we go, until it feels as though Saturn has swallowed us whole. Beneath its clouds and storms lies an ocean, unlike any on Earth, an ocean of liquid hydrogen, stretching for nearly 60,000 kilometers. This sea has no waves, no surface, no shore. It is not lit by the sun, for light cannot penetrate so far. Instead, it glimmers faintly with energy from within, a hidden glow born of Saturn's restless heart. It is endless, dark and heavy, a realm that feels more like a dream than a place. To float here would be to drift in silence, suspended in a fluid so strange we cannot even imagine its touch. There is no color, no sound, no air to breathe. Only the quiet pull downward, drawing us ever closer to the planet's hidden core. And yet, there is a kind of beauty here. A world made of the simplest element in the universe, hydrogen, has shaped itself into something vast and wondrous. It is as if Saturn is a cosmic artist, using only the lightest brushstroke to create one of the grandest canvases in the solar system. We cannot swim in this ocean, nor sail across it, but in our minds, we can drift through its depths, letting its enormity remind us how small we are, and how magnificent the universe can be. As the descent carries us farther still, the sea of liquid hydrogen transforms once again. The pressure becomes so intense, millions of times greater than the air on Earth, that atoms themselves begin to collapse. Their electrons, normally free and light, are forced into tight embrace. Hydrogen becomes something entirely new, metallic hydrogen. This strange form of matter does not exist naturally on Earth. Here, deep within Saturn, it forms a vast, shimmering layer that stretches for tens of thousands of kilometers. Imagine a liquid that is not only dense, but also conductive, able to carry electricity as easily as copper wires. This metallic ocean is alive with unseen currents, a hidden power pulsing through the belly of the planet. Scientists believe it is here, in this glittering, pressurized sea, Saturn's mighty magnetic field is born. Invisible lines of force stretch outward from these depths, surrounding the planet, shaping its auroras, and protecting its moons from the harsh solar wind. Metallic hydrogen is one of the great mysteries of physics. Could it exist outside of Saturn, if we could somehow reproduce its impossible pressure on Earth? Could it be a material of the future, stronger and stranger than anything we know? For now, it remains locked away, hidden in Saturn's depths like a treasure buried in a dream. To imagine floating here is to picture a glowing, metallic sea beneath endless layers of storms. A sea that hums with energy, silent yet powerful, carrying secrets we have only begun to uncover. Within the shimmering depths of metallic hydrogen, Saturn becomes more than a planet, it becomes a generator. The vast, conductive sea churns under unimaginable pressure, and as it stirs, it creates powerful electric currents. From these currents, Saturn's magnetic field is born, invisible yet immense, stretching far into space. This field is a shield and a sculptor. It bends the solar wind around Saturn, protecting its delicate rings and moons. It channels charged particles into the poles, where they fall in curtains of light, creating auroras that dance across Saturn's skies, vast, ghostly ribbons of green and violet, larger than our entire planet. And deep within the atmosphere above, storms roar with lightning unlike anything on Earth. A single bolt here can be thousands of times more powerful than the flashes we see in our skies. They light up the clouds for hours, fierce sparks in the endless night, fueled by the planet's internal energy and restless winds. Yet from a distance, all this power seems calm. Saturn floats in space as a golden jewel, serene and beautiful. Only when we peer closer do we see the violence hidden beneath the surface, the electric fire, the unseen shield, the storms that never end. It is a reminder of the duality of nature. Beauty often coexists with power, serenity with turbulence. Saturn embodies both a gentle lantern in the sky and a roaring engine within. Deeper still, pressure climbs to levels almost beyond imagination. With every kilometer downward, the atmosphere grows hotter, tighter, and more unforgiving. The quiet cold of Saturn's upper clouds is now a distant memory. Here, the temperature soars into the thousands of degrees hotter than molten rock, hotter than the surface of many stars. The air is no longer air at all. It is a dense, crushing medium of metallic hydrogen, glowing faintly with heat, radiating energy like the embers of a cosmic furnace. The farther we sink, the brighter it becomes, as though we are approaching the fiery heart of a lantern that burns without ever being extinguished. It is difficult to picture such extremes. Imagine the hottest desert on Earth, then magnify that heat not by hundreds, but by thousands, until even steel would melt in an instant. That is the world we drift through now, a place where matter bends under pressure, where elements lose their familiar forms, and where the laws we know are stretched to their limits. And yet, it is beautiful. The heat glows softly, like the inside of a candle, painting Saturn's hidden interior with light that no human eye has ever seen. In this place, destruction and creation blend together the violence of pressure and temperature, giving birth to the elegance of magnetic fields, auroras, and storms above. Here, in the depths of heat, Saturn reminds us that even the most hostile realms can carry a strange serenity. For beneath its storms and beyond its rings lies a quiet furnace, burning endlessly, keeping the planet alive with energy. At last, after passing through layer upon layer of clouds, storms, liquid, and metallic seas, we near the place at Saturn's very heart. The descent has been long, each stage stranger than the last, but now we approach the boundary where gases give way to something more solid, more ancient. The pressure here is almost unimaginable, millions of times greater than the air pressing on us at Earth's surface. The temperature burns at thousands of degrees, hot enough to melt iron and vaporize rock. Yet beneath all this fury lies a core, compact and dense, a relic from the dawn of the solar system. Scientists believe Saturn's core may be made of rock, ice, and heavy metals, squeezed into a sphere perhaps 10 times the mass of Earth. It is wrapped in layers of hydrogen and helium so thick they hide it completely, but still, it endures, the silent anchor around which the planet spins. To imagine standing here is impossible. No ground would welcome us. Only crushing force and unbearable heat. And yet, if we could glimpse it even for a moment, we would be looking at the very foundation of Saturn, matter older than life on Earth. Material forged in the chaos of creation, preserved for billions of years. Approaching the core is like nearing the end of a dream. We have drifted through gold and storm, through ice and fire, only to arrive at something simple, silent, and unyielding. It is the heart of Saturn, hidden forever from human eyes, yet always there, steady beneath the storms. At the very bottom of Saturn's vast and shifting layers lies what scientists believe to be its core. We cannot see it, nor can any probe reach it intact. But models and calculations paint a picture of what may rest here. It is thought to be a dense, rocky sphere, mixed with metals and ices, perhaps 10 to 20 times the mass of Earth, under pressures so extreme that atoms themselves are forced into unfamiliar arrangements. This core is unlike anything we know on our own planet. It is a relic from the earliest days of the solar system. Some scientists imagine it not as a single solid stone, but as a diffuse region, blurred by the weight above it. Part solid, part liquid, part something in between. A place where matter does not obey the neat categories we understand, but instead melts together in forms that defy human experience. If we could somehow stand there, though we never could, we would find no landscape, no ground, no horizon, only crushing darkness, unbearable heat, and the weight of Saturn itself pressing from every direction. It would not be a place to live, but a place to wonder. And yet, the core's existence matters. From this hidden foundation, Saturn's gravity holds its rings, its moons, and its storms in place. From this heart, the planet has reigned for billions of years, turning slowly, endlessly, in the quiet dance of the solar system. To think of Saturn's core is to think of origins, where it began, what it has become, and how, in its silence, it still shapes the beauty we see today. Here, at the imagined edge of Saturn's core, we must pause, for this is as far as human knowledge can reach. No probe, no spacecraft, No future mission we now envision could ever survive the descent we have dreamed tonight. The pressure would crush steel, the heat would melt stone, the depths would swallow all signals long before they could return. And so, the true nature of Saturn's heart remains hidden. We know it only through mathematics, models, and the whispers of data gathered from afar. The Cassini spacecraft skimmed the edges of this mystery, tracing the planet's gravity, inferring the weight of its core but never seeing it, never touching it. There is a certain beauty in that limit. The cosmos does not give up all its secrets at once. Some remain just out of reach, not to frustrate us, but to remind us of wonder. Incomplete knowledge keeps curiosity alive. It is what draws our eyes to the stars, what makes us ask questions, what inspires us to explore. And perhaps this is the truest gift Saturn offers. The reminder that mystery itself has value, that not knowing everything is part of the dream. Just as we cannot fully hold on to our most vivid dreams upon waking, we cannot fully grasp the depths of Saturn, but we can imagine, we can wonder, and in that act of wondering, we are connected to the universe in the most human way possible. And so, our journey comes to rest. We have drifted past Saturn's luminous rings, through its golden clouds, into seas of liquid hydrogen, and down toward its hidden core. At every layer, the planet has whispered to us of storms that last centuries, of moons that shape entire worlds, of mysteries that even science has yet to solve. From afar, Saturn is serene, glowing gently in the night sky like a lantern above the horizon. Up close, it is a place of chaos and power, of heat and pressure, of unimaginable forces. And yet, together, these opposites create something timeless. A planet that has stirred human wonder for as long as we have looked upward. Perhaps that is Saturn's true gift. Not only its beauty, but its ability to remind us of our own smallness and of our longing to understand. To see Saturn is to feel both humbled and uplifted, to sense how vast the universe is and how precious it is to be part of it. As we leave this dreamlike descent behind, let Saturn stay with you as a gentle image of rings glimmering against the stars, as a reminder that even the harshest storms can give rise to quiet beauty, and as an invitation to keep wondering about the worlds that lie beyond. Good night, Saturn. Good night. Rings and storms and mysteries. May your golden light guide us, even as we drift softly into sleep. And to you, dear listener, thank you for journeying here. If you wish to wander again among the stars, to hear more stories of science told like bedtime tales, remember to subscribe, so that we may travel together once more. Until then, rest well, and dream gently beneath the same sky that holds Saturn.